Alright, welcome back everybody. In today's video, I wanted to do another commentary video today and talk more about the Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. Regarding the interview with Famitsu and Miyazaki, full translation. So, right off the bat, I want to address a few things. In my latest video, when I talked about the DLC and how it's gonna have the Sekiro-like leveling system, I was kind of wrong on a few things. When I was saying it's gonna be a better experience, well, I wasn't wrong, but I'm just gonna rephrase. So, basically, I watched a video on it, and now they're gonna make it so the attack power stat leveling system is a way to make it easier for lower level players to tackle bosses that they're under leveled for. So basically a way to make non-friendly areas friendly for lower level players. So before I show you the actual translation of the interview, and also want to talk about a few other things that are going to be included, that have been confirmed to be included in the DLC that's coming out in 4 months. I just wanted to say that. So, I've switched up the camera. Now, it's on my phone, so, I don't look like a fucking Pixel World's Minecraft character. But, so now I'm going to show you the interview. So here on this Reddit post, it's got the full translation of the interview with Miyazaki for Shadow of the Erdtree. So there's a lot of information in this interview that I wanted to talk about. So it starts off with him asking, after Elden Ring had released and it sold 20 million copies, how does that make you feel? It makes me very happy. So this is just them talking about the development and how it did. And then here it starts talking about Shadow of the Erdtree was announced on 2023. I think that's February 28th. But you've just now announced the release date. And then he asks, when did the development begin? He actually started developing it after the main game, which is interesting because usually they would start working on the DLC, like towards the end, but not after the full completion of the main game. And then the meaning of the title. So Erdtree means golden tree. You know how the big Erdtree in Elden Ring is golden until it's red when you burn it, but whatever. Spoiler alert. That appears in the main title, so directly interpreting this Shadow of the Golden Tree. This is interesting because it also states a little bit later how this DLC is not going to take place in the lands between. It's going to take place in the Shadowlands or something. We'll get to that. So, the person writing Torrent, fucking Jesus Christ, but Mikola is Melania's brother, right? I think. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but Mikola is going to be the central character in the story, which means this is not going to be Tarnished going through a portal and exploring a new area. This is a completely separate story on a set character, and it's not just the Tarnished. It's Mikola. In the story, the main title, NPCs following after Mikola. So there's going to be a lot of lore in this DLC. Probably a lot of gaps to be filled, and this is what's gonna fill them up. So you mentioned Queen Marika. It does not take place in the past, so this is a completely separate story that's supposed to be taking place during I guess, yeah, because it's not distant past or future. It's going to be during the the main story. So the themes is going to be players will experience for themselves. Yeah, so he didn't really answer that properly, but whatever. Um, Main story of Elden Ring was told as a heroic tale. Correct. So it's going to be a heroic tale again, which is cool. It's not going to be some dark shit where someone ends up dying. I'm sure a lot of people are going to be dead, but George R. R. Martin. Uh, let's see. Where does it talk about the new stuff? So here it says you can access it in the later half of the main story. This means the difficulty is high. Uh, the latter half. It's translated from a different language. So he also says here that they're not connected, but you can teleport freely. So you could be invested in the story of Mikola, and then you're like, I don't want to do this right now. And then you can go back to the lands between and play more as a Tarnish. Then you can just go back and forth. How will fast travel work? This is the same as the main title. When you discover a site of grace, you can fast travel there. So it's not going to be changing like that. DLC won't affect the main story like at all, and the main story won't affect the DLC. It's separate stories. So this is here where he talks about the attack power system for in Sekiro to give the freedom to meet the threats mentioned earlier. So you can explore other areas before going back to challenge bosses, which is cool. That's where I was a little bit wrong in the last video, but I think that's cool that, you're not going to be under leveled for anything, which is, that's tackling half of the balance problem. And then here is where it gets interesting. New weapons. There's going to be new weapons, spells, weapon arts, etc. One of the main selling points of the DLC. So I'm guessing you're going to be able to use these weapon types in the main story. But yeah, so 8 new weapon types. 8 is crazy because from Dark Souls 3 to Elden Ring, they added 5 new weapon types. So 8 new weapon types is just that's a lot. And then there's additions to existing weapon types as well. So there's going to be new weapons in the already implemented categories. A great number of weapons in the main title. Specifically, what kind of new weapons? So there's going to be large Japanese katanas known as odachi. I'm going to pull up a picture of an odachi. So for a quick reference, I know this photo is kind of pixelated, but basically an odachi is just a very big, I mean, look at this handle. You could fit a lot of hands on that. I mean, that's like, I don't even know. And then just think about how long the handle is, how long the blade is. This is a very big katana, basically. I mean, it's probably even more big than like the katana that the generals use in Sekiro. I mean, those katanas were big, but this is another level of big. So going back to the interview, there's going to be reverse hand swords, gyat. I don't even know. So there's also going to be dueling shields, which that's actually interesting because I had an idea about that one time. Like, what if there was a shield that you could actually fight with, like swing at people on it? Maybe like a shield that has a sharp edges on it, and you could use it as almost like a frisbee. Also, regarding throwing daggers sounds cool, but aren't throwing daggers already a thing? Maybe the throwing daggers are going to be actual legit weapons now, as opposed to the cookery, which is just like a little thing you can put in your bottom slot that you just throw, and it does like, I don't even know, like 20 damage. It's completely useless. That's if it's not like one of the poison dart ones where it inflicts poison buildup or whatever buildup, because status effects can be pretty deadly. I mean, we've all seen bleed. But anyways, the weapons in the trailer are something to pay attention to. The lion dance enemy. So this was, if you haven't seen the trailer, I first of all watch it because it's amazing. But the lion dance was actually probably the most interesting boss to me because it's almost like the beast clergyman, but it looks a lot bigger, and it's got the head of a lion. But and so it's called the lion dance, and we've never seen it before. Like he says, is that a DLC boss? Yes, that lion dance in some ways could be considered a very DLC-like boss. So Miyazaki also says that there's no separate ending to the DLC, which is interesting. No, at this point we don't have a plan. So here he talks about how there's not going to be another DLC for Elden Ring. I mean, honestly, I wasn't expecting there to be two DLCs, and I was right because Miyazaki said he's not going to be making another DLC, which it's sad, but it's understandable. I mean, you can't just be making a bunch of DLCs for the same game. At some point, it's like you got to release a new game. People are going to get tired of Elden Ring at some point. At some point, people still play Dark Souls 1, I guess. That game has aged so well. But I'm sure Elden Ring will too. Just the players are going to be craving something new at some point. A bundle. So this bundle is, if you didn't know, the bundle is I think $80 when Elden Ring is $60 and the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC is $40. So that combined is $100, and since I already own Elden Ring, I'm gonna be paying that full 100 because I'm gonna be buying the $40 Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. But if you didn't already own the Elden Ring, you can get the bundle for $80, which is $20 off, and that's pretty cool. Yeah, so he talks about how this would be a good opportunity to play Elden Ring for the first time because you are, basically getting a discount for the full package of the Elden Ring and its DLC, which the DLC is probably going to be really good. The base game is already amazing. But yeah. And to finish it off, he talks about how Miyazaki, if he has the desire to create more games on the scale of Elden Ring. Elden Ring is, I'm sure it's a AAA. Yeah, it's a AAA game. It's huge. It's a very big map. There's so much hidden bosses. I mean, there's like 238, I think. Don't quote that, but yeah, there's a lot of bosses. Definitely over 200, including the mini bosses. This game is huge, basically, and the fact that the DLC is going to be basically Elden Ring 1.5 is just a lot to take in. It's going to be a lot of content. So yeah, that's basically all I really wanted to say today. I just wanted to add on and address a few things from my previous video. I have started using this phone camera, which looks a lot better than the original integrated laptop camera that I was using. And that's why it sounds a little bit different, because this is the phone microphone, and when I was on the article, it was these headphones microphone. So yeah, if you want me to do more of these videos, leave a comment. I'll probably be doing them anyway. My last video didn't do too bad, but yeah, I'm gonna keep doing these. If it starts becoming a thing that gets good amounts of views, then I'll keep doing them. Anyways, yeah, that's all I really got to say. See ya.